Oh, hello there. I didn't see you there. Hello and welcome to the podcast where good trivia gets rewarded and bad facts are punished. Bad lies are punished. It's unprofessional. Bad lies are punished, but will we catch the lies? This is What's the Fact.
You won't catch them on my watch, Warren Robertson. That's Warren Robertson. I'm Ryan Whittle, and thanks so much for joining us. We're going to have lots of fun because Dietz has given us another strange challenge. How are you, Warren? How's things?
Yeah, good, thank you. I've been eyeing up this beer since we sat down at this at the table because this is a
Terribly exciting.
yeah, it's a Belgian quad by Woodstock Brewery, who are our sponsors. And
Woodstock!
and I haven't had their Belgian quad before, so I'm excited.
You said go slow. Tell the people why we must go slow
Oh,
with
because
this
a Belgian
one.
quad is a good solid 10% alcohol. This is like drinking a barrel of wine.
They don't fuck around, those Belgians, eh? It's very nice. It's rich and
I
full-bodied.
mean, they do. They really do. The Belgians are a naughty people. Like, watch the Belgian hate. Oh, who is he to say this about us? What
It's
is
a
my
fascinating
Belgian-
little place there in Europe.
It's not a fascinating place,
Isn't
Ryan.
it?
It's a terrible place.
Is
though.
it?
It's boring. It's boring. Even Bruges, which people really love,
Yeah, it's quite
is like,
pretty, isn't
well,
it?
yeah, for about a square kilometer is that central part, and it's
Oh, yeah?
surrounded by a moat, and that's really pretty. And then outside of that is the devastation of the rest of Belgium. I mean, really. Anyway,
Belgium.
no, please, Belgians, come, bring the hate. I've got time for that. I've got answers.
Their soccer team might not win the World Cup.
Their
this year. I
football
think.
team.
Yeah, they had their glory chance in the last World Cup, and they made it to the semis and lost to France in the semi, and then France went on to win. But they had like the Kevin De Bruyne's and all that. There's like quite a team at the moment.
Yeah, this year's World Cup is a bit weird, though, isn't it? It's it's in Qatar.
Qatar.
And they murdered like 10,000 Bangladeshis or something to
build the
get the
stadiums.
stadiums built. Yeah. I don't think
Shame.
it was mandatory. I think it was just lax safety protocols.
Oh, shame. But cheers. It makes a lovely Belgian head, this Belgian sugar man. Sugar man.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah, but as you're right, the topic this week, we haven't quite settled on exactly what it was. You and I kind of got a little bit twisted because initially it was Nobel Prizes. And then it became kind of human achievements.
Yes.
I've sort of stuck to the Nobel Prizes thing, and you've kind of gone with the human achievement. So we've got
Human
two topics
achieving.
here, but we're going to cross-reference. We'll be there and thereabouts, I think.
You call it no. You were suggesting
Yeah,
Nobel Prizes.
Yeah,
winners.
no Nobel achievements. No, but it's not Nobel. It's Nobel.
Nobel. He was a
Yeah.
Swedish dude, hey? Swedish dude.
No. I mean, yeah,
Nobel?
I mean, he may have been because he definitely left all his money in Swedish krona. So yeah, maybe he was. I just know that the story behind it is he developed dynamite and made a lot of money off of weapons. And one day he woke up and he found that the newspapers thought he died. And he saw his obituary, which was like, oh, the purveyor of death dies. And he got so upset and offended with what his legacy was going to be that he ended up donating most of his fortune to the peace prizes and to rewarding human endeavor, which is
His kids must have been so pissed off.
yeah.
Shame.
Yeah, they were like, "Damn it, Dad!
This is gonna
Give us your gun money." Probably not in that accent. But yeah, so that's the story behind it, and obviously then like a lot of good and bad has come out of it, and apparently it's still he donated 31 million krona at the time. And now you get 10 million krona if you win a Nobel Prize.
Jeez, like.
And and apparently that's still coming off the interest of that 31 million from back in the day.
What a glorious investment.
See, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. If you have money and you just save it for like 100 years, incredible things you can do.
Is the krona quite a strong currency?
Same
as the
10
euro.
million. Yeah, well, it's about 1 to 10. I think 10 million works out to be about $1.1 million. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, about 18.7 million rand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
But
nice.
no, I mean in terms of those are just numbers, because in terms of if you buy anything in Sweden, you have to give them a kidney. Like if you just want like groceries.
Really?
Oh, it's so expensive.
Oh, shame.
It's such an expensive country.
Shame.
Yeah, I mean it's not like they did anything to anybody really, the Swedish. Not for a very long time. Anyway, but yeah, so now we're on human achievement / the Nobel Prize / yeah, and I think we've got some interesting stuff here. I don't know whether I started or you started last week. I think it's possibly my turn.
Yeah, you
Okay.
go for it. Human achievement. It's Speaking of human achievement, this is a lovely beer. Thanks.
It's delicious, yeah.
Thanks, Belgians.
All right. Okay, so because we were kind of talking Nobel Prize, I thought I would do a kind of introduction to the Nobel Prize as my first fact. Because my first fact is that the official Nobel Prize policy is that you can't win it if you have deceased.
Yes.
You're not given the Nobel Prize posthumously.
Yes.
They will, however, if they announce that you're going to be the winner, and then you die before you can collect it, they will give it to your family. That's the one kind of like sticking point, the kind of where they're like, oh well, but they won't give it to you if you are deceased when it comes announcement time. Even if they were gonna, like, you die an hour before announcement time, they're not going to give it to you. They're going to take it away. But if you happen to die after announcement time, then they're going to give the money and whatever to your family. And that's their official policy, right? But despite that, and this is my fact, despite that, 2 people have won it posthumously.
Well, I think I might. Yes. Oh no, I don't. I've got another fact coming up later about a chap who was nominated many times, like the Oscars. Oh shucks, he's nominated so many times, he's never won. But he, I don't think he got it. So I don't know of any who've won it posthumously. So did they do that thing? They were nominated and then they died just before the award ceremony.
No, they didn't. They didn't do that. They were awarded it posthumously. They were dead when it was awarded. That's what I'm claiming anyway. That's what I'm saying is the fact.
So from what I know, that hasn't happened. So I'm going to say, no, that's not true. The Nobel Prize has never been awarded posthumously, true to their principles. Did it?
Yeah, it is something of a tradition to start the show these days with a lie, which is why I've broken with that tradition, and it is in fact the truth.
What?
Yes, indeed, it's the truth, and the reason it's the truth is that only became policy in 1974. So prior to that, it wasn't policy.
Wasn't
and
it?
Yeah, they gave it to 2 guys. Dag Hammarskjöld won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1961 by doing the most peaceful thing you can do, and that is die. No, he was the second.
In his sleep.
Yeah, no, he was the second Secretary General of the United Nations. And then Erik Axel Karlfeldt won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1931. But those 2 people have and were awarded it posthumously, and will now remain the only 2 people to win it posthumously in death. Yeah. Because, what are you going to do with the money once you hit the grave? Yeah. And it's a lot of money. We were talking about it before the show. It's 10 million Swedish krona.
Yeah.
Which is like $1.1 million or 18.75 million rand on the day of recording.
Oh, that's a few rand. That's a few rand indeed.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about something which will never happen again.
Okay.
That brings
it's
me...
sex, isn't it, right? It's sex. That's what it is. Like, don't worry, man. It's going to happen for you. It's going to be fine.
It's going to happen again. You're like, those oaks who won it posthumously. It's never going to happen again.
That's when it'll happen. Posthumously.
You've donated your body to the Wits Medical School.
Yeah.
Some freaks from...
Everybody's got to go to some funeral home at some point in their life, Ryan, and that's where we all run the risk of falling foul of... now I've got Belgians and people who work in funeral homes on my... No, we almost never fuck the bodies. Sometimes.
Let's see, you've upset Belgians, funeral people... Barrent, because you still haven't paid your bloody installments.
No, and I don't intend to, Barrent. You come, you break my knees. I've had enough now. We don't have a Patreon account. We can't collect the money for this thing.
We'll go on a debt review, Barrent. Talk to my lawyers, my debt providers. Right. Oh, yes. So what's never going to happen? So we're talking human achievement, and the most. This is a very beautiful human achievement. Nadia Comaneci.
So this is not even a Nobel Prize.
No, this is a human achievement.
But you do get a medal.
Very much so. This was, and it's a special thing because you've been to the city of Montreal, hey?
No, I've never been to
Montreal.
I've never been to Canada. No, I've never been to Canada.
You know poutine. That's how come I know. You know poutine.
I do know poutine. That's right, from the food episode. But I haven't been to. I haven't been to Canada because they still worship the Queen. I won't go to any country where the Queen is the official head of state, unless it is England. Then I forgive you if you're actually England. But if you're still supporting the monarch, even though you're Canada or Australia.
Members of the Commonwealth.
No, I mean, we're a member of the Commonwealth.
Yes.
But the Queen isn't the head of South African state. You know, you're allowed to. Yeah, the Commonwealth, they're a little bit desperate. You know, they're desperate for that wealth from the common, to the point that they'll allow you to disrespect their Queen. And that's what I want. I want Canada to abandon her Queen, Her Majesty, take her off the money.
There's the House of Lords even. In the Canadian Parliament. I've been there. I've been to the Canadian Parliament. House of Commons, House of Lords.
Yeah, no, they're
Queen has the right to veto.
Yeah, they're a filthy people. Canadians, jump in the comment section. Tell me how much you hate me. No, okay, all right. So no, I haven't been to Montreal.
I thought you did, but I thought because you knew Poutine so well. So I haven't travelled much at all, but I did after matric go to visit family in Montreal for 2 months. I know Montreal from when I was 18, and it was the Montreal Olympic Games 1976. Nadia Comaneci from Romania scored the world's first ever perfect 10 in gymnastics on a routine. It's been done since, but she was the first. And the routine that she did it with, here's my fact, was the uneven bars.
Yeah, I think that's right.
How would you know if?
I seem to remember. I think I watched it. I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's. Yeah,
Not-
I think it's
not
the uneven
live,
bars.
you were born
I think it's
2
the
years
uneven
before you were
bars.
born.
Is it the vault? I can't. You see, the thing is, gymnasts perform at all of those things.
They do.
So
They do.
But yeah, my initial instinct was that it was on the uneven bars. When you were talking about it, I was imagining it on the uneven bars. I could be wrong. Now you got me doubting myself, Ryan.
Because you know me, I could just say no, it wasn't uneven bars. It was the horse.
But you see how gymnastics has come along since then. You know, like what you had to do then to get a perfect 10 versus what you have to do now to get a perfect 10. It's a different sport.
Yeah.
But I think it was uneven bars. I can't. That's the one where it's the 2 bars and then they swing
uneven.
around. They're uneven,
Yes.
and then they swing around and they twist and turn in the. Yeah, no, I think it was.
Well, yes, you're right. I wasn't lying this time. It was the uneven bars, and I've been to the ice hockey center is called the Molson Center. It changed, but it used to be the Forum. That's where the Montreal Canadiens. I usually wear their shirt in my comedy.
That's the worst sports team name in the whole world. The Montreal Canadiens. It's like the local Johannesburg rugby team is called the Johannesburg South Africans.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
It's rather silly. It's very, very silly. And so, but they got lovely kits. And in the 80s, they were awesome.
I'm not done with this. I've got some moaning to
awesome.
do. It's like when you name your football team Cape Town City. It can't be a town and a city at the same time. Cape Town City is the worst football team name in the history of the world. What are they doing? What are they doing?
I've never thought of it.
How do they get their shit together?
Cape Town City.
Like you could have named it anything you liked, anything at all, except Cape Town
Wanderers,
City.
say Cape Town United.
Cape Town Rovers, Cape Town Spurs,
Rangers.
Cape Town United, Cape Town. Doesn't matter. Cape Town City, only one that's stupid. Congratulations, whoever did that. You're a moron. If you are his family, please jump in the comments. Tell me how much you hate me.
Might have been Benny McCarthy.
No,
Which
I
means
don't,
all
I don't
Manchester
think Benny
United
McCarthy.
fans are now part of the hate club.
I don't think Benny McCarthy would make that sort of mistake. Benny McCarthy is he's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he goes to Man United. He's there like 3 days, and they beat Liverpool.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. What a surprise result. My goodness me.
Anyway, we're dating this now.
Yes. Okay. So, Nadia, what else do I have to say about her? She's, why that'll never happen again. She was the youngest to ever, get a goal, perfect 10 or whatever, is because now it's 16 is the age.
Oh, right.
And she was 14 when she did that. And, she ended up marrying, I think, an American dude, has dual citizenship.
That year or?
No. She was
Much
14.
later.
No, but there's a chap later on who gets married very young in my facts. But what else about Nadia? Yes, and then she's quite a looker. Even as a adult lady now. They've got a kid, and she's done a lot of
She should be
good work for gymnastics.
1976, you said.
14 in 1976.
So 1962 is when she was born. So she's 17 years older now. She's 60 now, right?
No, she's still a look.
I think that's a sign that you're getting old.
Is it?
Yeah, is when you're like, retirement age chicks.
See, Olivia Newton-John was all right before she showed.
Yeah, and the next step is dead people, Ryan, and now we're doing callbacks.
And so at the ice hockey place, the Forum, when you go there, when I went there, then there was a massive, like giant blow up photograph on the side of the Forum as you're walking in. You see the kind of side wall of the thing, and it's a photo of her like in mid-flight, jumping from the one bar to the other, and it's a beautiful blown-up photo because it happened at that place.
Right. Okay.
So special, and they've even named a section of Olympic Park, which is their big stadium, I don't know what the Nadia Corner or Comaneci Park or Place de Comaneci or Place de Nadia, something cool like that. So Montreal.
And all you have to do is train for 13 years of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, at most, tops, and then pull off a perfect 10 at the Olympics, and that's what you get for the rest of your life. Easy.
And Omega, the watch, the stopwatch people, they built a little scoreboard. And there was the funny thing is they didn't know people could get a perfect 10, so they had only 1 decimal place that side of the comma. So it was, the judges went 1. Ooh, and then we're like, 1? She got 1 for that. No, perfect. Then they announced, scored a 10, perfect 10.
Wow, okay. That's amazing. That's really, really
That is
cool.
beautiful.
But I think, I was just thinking about it now, sort of extending my thought. I think it probably is easier to win an Olympic medal than it is to win a Nobel Prize, right? Because you the amount of effort, like some of the people who win Nobel Prizes are like 80 years old and they've put their whole life into their science and then they win it. And I was thinking to myself, that must be true then. It must be true that it's harder to win a Nobel Prize than it is to win an Olympic gold, until I thought of Malala Yousafzai, who effectively got shot on a bus and then didn't let that deter her from fighting for education for women. But she was like 12 years old.
Jeez.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if she was to put in the same effort as an Olympic gold medalist, she'd have to get shot in the head once every week, like that's for like 18 years, So these things are very difficult to kind of work out, what sort of effort you have to put in to win these things. So what is a medal? Do you, off the top of your head, know what a medal is worth at the Olympics?
No, like as in
like
the
how
gold.
much does it weigh? Or how much is a gold medal? Is it? I mean, it used to be solid gold. Is it still solid gold?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
I know in Japan they made it out of recycled kind of phone and technology parts.
Seriously?
Well, I mean, they took out of recycled things. They took enough gold to make the gold medals, and they took enough silver out of recycled technology to make the silver medals, etc., etc. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very different.
At the end of the day, gold is gold, eh? Bet you can get a good price for that.
Well, you like a zama or something?
Yeah, it's just like, weigh it, go home, see how much it costs. I hope South Africa's, I bet you South African, that you fly in with your gold medal from the Olympics. The South Africans are like, you didn't have that when you left, did you? No? You take it to, did you declare it? It's like 8 million rand. You owe us tax for, I bet you. But that's how that works. You have to pay 25% tax on that. You owe us $1.2 million. You can't enter the country.
Because security didn't watch the Olympic Games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do make you declare your cameras. You're supposed to declare your cameras and your laptops and things when you leave the country. And then when you come back in, if they find you with a laptop that you haven't declared, they're like, oh, you bought that overseas. You have to pay import duty. So I'm feeling that's maybe the same with the medal.
Shame.
But yeah, like the reason I asked is because with a Nobel Prize, like you get 3 things when you win a Nobel Prize, right? You get the money, the 10 million kroner, right, which is then that 18.75 million rand. You get a certificate, which is given to you by the King of Sweden, but the certificate's like an artwork. So you get like effectively an artwork, and then you get a medal. And then that medal is different depending on which Nobel Prize you've won, right? So then you like the peace one is 3 men on it, like with their arms around each other's shoulders in kind of brotherly like love. And then the medicine one is like an old woman and little girls giving her water. And, so they've all got different things on them depending on
like
what
a giant Saint Christopher.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like a little bit. But then, so obviously these are very valuable, right? Like people are like, because you win one, and then, collectors want them. Like collectors want Victoria Crosses. Victoria Crosses are worth a lot of money, like to people. And but we don't really know what these medals are worth because people don't put their Nobel Prize up for sale very often. Because generally, whereas things like Olympic golds or Victoria Crosses can be won, and then people descend into abject poverty and they sell these things. With a Nobel Prize, you're generally getting it because you've reached some sort of level of achievement. So you've reached some sort of success within your society, and you therefore have a position that can earn you money. So you're not necessarily like in trouble. So they very rarely come up for sale. I know one came up for sale in like 2015, and the guy sold it to cover his medical bills, and it did apparently $750,000 or something.
Oh.
It covered his medical bills, but what do you like? In the spirit of a medal is worth, something is worth only what people will pay for it. What do you think is the most a Nobel Prize winning medal is worth?
Is this the fact?
This is yeah. My fact is that it's worth 70 million rand.
Oh, good Lord. So has one been sold for 70 million?
This is what I'm telling you. At least one. Yeah.
For flip sakes. You see, but there's other value, like who did it belong to and all of that. So, but I mean, that's part of the value, Yeah. 70 million.
Oh, you're saying one that belonged to Nelson Mandela would be worth a lot more than one that belonged to like some oak what won it for literature in 1924.
Oh, who did you read that? No.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it's possible. I think that's probably true, actually. It's probably true that the story of the medal is worth, But this one is not necessarily a big one, and I'm saying that it went for 70 million rand.
It's too much.
I mean, that's let me do them. It's 3.5 times the amount, the cash reward.
Yeah. Shucks. No, I say it's too much. Too much. No. False, lying, liar.
No, it's true.
No.
Yeah, no, it's true.
How many times has this happened? Once.
So yeah. In 2014, Dr. James Watson put his up for auction, and he put it up for auction for cancer research. And I mean, this is now already showing you why it went for as much as it went for. He won the Nobel Prize for medicine in 1962.
Right.
Because he's part of the team that discovered the molecular structure of DNA. So it's quite a nice one, if you're going to go for medicine. But he put up for auction, and then a Russian billionaire by the name of Alisher Usmanov bought it for $4.1 million. And then gave it back to him, straight up immediately afterwards. Gave it back to him and left the money in for cancer research.
Gee, that's nice.
So that's what a Nobel Prize medal could be worth. Is $4.1 million, under the right circumstances. But is James Watson's one worth as much as even Tutu's one?
Yeah, for sure.
Tutu's family listening to this now, getting on the phone. How much?
I think they're going to become available in, maybe this century because World Cup medals, Olympic medals, and Nobel Prizes only dished out last century.
Yeah.
There haven't been these things. Now they're out there, man. They're out there.
Oh, yeah. So yeah.
It's not like antiquity things. It's not like discovering a gold thing in a pharaoh's tomb. It's like
I would imagine they're in a way. I mean, I mentioned the Victoria Cross. I'd imagine they're very similar to Victoria Crosses. And Victoria Crosses are, they're rare as anything, and people buy them based on their story. Wow. So the story of who won it and how they won it matters. But they do come up for sale because obviously they then, this guy was a hero, but his grandson is a drug addict. His grandson's got this Victoria Cross. So that stuff, and it's possibly going to happen with the Nobel Prizes as well. You should start seeing them leaking onto the market. Those 1903, for economics, Nobel Prize. I wonder if you can go on eBay and bang it out. I should have checked that before I came here with my bullshit. I should have gone on eBay and seen if I could buy one for $100.
The literature one is going to be called. It's going to be called Litecoin, not
Nice, Ryan. Nice. I mean, yeah, it's lit, yo.
Thank you. So good.
Yeah, good. Okay, your
I
fact.
am talking. I'm going to stick with Nobel Prizes. Here's
Okay.
one. Here's a dude who was like nominated. This is like the Tom Cruise of Nobel Prizes. He was nominated quite a few times, but he's never won. Shame. And that was Mahatma Gandhi. Yay. Nominated a few times. Then, that's why your first fact threw me a little bit, because he was nominated the one year and then he died, was assassinated. And so they decided not to award it that year. So that's like giving it to him or something. Or maybe it was the year before. And then, because of that rule.
Well, I mean,
the rule was a 1970s rule, hey?
Yeah, no. So I heard that effectively they did nominate him, because the nomination process is insane. As many as 3,000 people can be nominated for it every single
award.
year. Yeah, for it every single year. All you have to do is fall within the kind of requirements, and you are unlikely to ever know if you were nominated for a Nobel Prize, because they only unlock the nominations 50 years after the nominations were made. So we're starting to get those kind of Gandhi, we're starting to work out exactly. So Gandhi was nominated 5 times, but they never gave it to him. And in fact, I know that the committee expressed regret afterwards when he died that they hadn't given it to him at some stage.
Yes. Yeah, so I researched Gandhi, and I've got a fact about Gandhi. And as I was researching it, I realized I've heard a lot of things about him. I haven't seen the movie with Ben Kingsley. I haven't read a lot of things about him. And I know very little about his complex life. Strange, crazy, beautiful life. And if he's seen as a hero in the world, I always like to be proudly South African and say, hey, we helped create a bit of that, because Gandhi, here's my fact, spent 21 years in South Africa.
I mean, he did. That's absolutely true.
Did you know?
There's a reason why Gandhi Square in Joburg is named Gandhi Square,
So are you saying it 21 is...
I don't know if it's 21, but it's around about that amount of time. You could be
Fine.
lying to me.
No.
You could be doing your Ryan-esque lying where you're like, it's 17 years. Ha!
No, I was actually so blown away that I didn't mess with that one. You're spot on. 21 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, there's places that are named after him. We've got a lot of statues to Gandhi as well.
Yeah.
In South Africa. Yeah. I like to imagine everybody's like, oh, he's a little skinny man, and he must have weighed like 45 kilos. I think he weighed 85 because his balls must have,
He stood up to some monstrous
he wasn't.
people.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid.
And the story is very sad, because he studied in London for 3 years. He was part of some inner temple thing to become a advocate or a bar at the bar, the legal thing.
Oh yeah, or an attorney.
Yeah, and then he went back to India, and then he got a message to go and work in Durban as an attorney, and I was like, yeah, cool, this is going to be great. And got there, and you just realized how crap they were treated, and kicked off a train in Pietermaritzburg, and then a crazy life. He also fought in the second South African war, what was called the Anglo-Boer War, and he started a regiment of just Indian people, and fought for the British, and he wanted to almost show the British that they were keen, they were on board, and then after the war, you're going to make us equal, give us the vote, all that stuff. And it was like, well, sure we will. Yes, that sounds like a good idea. And then afterwards, like, no, never mind that. And it was like, what? And he was like, what the fuck? He was like, what the fuck? Don't do that.
No, it's fine.
What the fuck? And then, quite a bit of time in Joburg. He started a bit of an ashram thing, which they called a Tolstoy farm, named after the dude in Russia, the author. And so I was like, what? He started an ashram in Joburg, like a farm, a retreat thing. A farm, and you help people. I don't know. But it's like, where is it today? It's just to the left of part of outskirts of Alberton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was charging people to go to Alberton for peace.
You
can't go to Alberton for peace. You go to Alberton to get murd. You don't go to Alberton for peace.
There's those who were getting murd in the bars, and shame you get murd come here to Gandhi's farm. But it was there in the Ritvlei, what's now the Ritvlei Nature Reserve, and it's quite funny because I think when I was back in Joburg, I was part of a church which was starting a new church, and they were just starting up, and it was in Alberton, and I think they used to meet on a Sunday evening at that Ritvlei farm. It's now called, I don't know what it's called, something farm. Yeah, but the property is now owned by, this is so sad, it's owned by Corabrik. And they're like, oh, yeah. So the foundation of the farmhouse is still there. It was like, we might do something with it, maybe.
Oh, so they're aware of its history at least.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, Corabrik.
Well, this could easily have been one of your facts from the Joburg podcast.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Gandhi in, as I say, Gandhi Square, which is the central bus terminus.
Yeah. I know it.
In the center of Joburg. It's a fitting tribute for a man who used to walk everywhere. To name a bus terminus after him.
Do you know he got married when he was 13?
I mean,
his wife was 14.
Okay.
What a player.
At 13.
But it was arranged. It was very much arranged.
No, at 13, I was some 6 years away from kissing a girl.
And he had 4 kids. 4 kids. Didn't even know he had kids. I thought he was this kind of monkish type of chap. I don't know what happened to his wife in his latter years.
No, I told you, Ryan. The 40-kilogram testicles, the man had to do something with them. He had to, of course he had 4 kids. Yeah. No, man, his kids have gone on, well, certainly his relatives have gone on to be big political players in India over
Seriously?
the years. Yeah. I'm going to say
great.
that boldly with a kind of only half-remembered idea about it. But I seem to recall that.
Wow, man. There's my Gandhi fact. 21 years in South Africa.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah.
Nice. And as you say, he didn't get a Nobel Prize.
No.
He was like the father of he's often called the father of Indian independence and, inspired a lot of freedom movements around the world, I would say. And then they didn't give him a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult. Like their choices are sometimes a little bit suspect, And the reason I bring that up is because my next fact is, proving that a Nobel Prize neither makes you smart or a good person. No fewer than 3 Nobel Prize winners have been firm believers in eugenics.
Ooh.
And eugenics is obviously the study of arranging reproduction within the human population to increase the occurrence of positive traits. So you kind of like certain people must have sex with certain people so that they can have children, so that we can slowly breed a more pure, brilliant, clever, intelligent, good-looking race. And of course, the most famous people who believed in this were the Nazis. So it's the Nazis, and apparently at least, and I'm saying at least, 3 Nobel Prize winners.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that your fact?
That's my fact, yeah.
Man, that's so... Like, firstly, the funny thing about that Aryan race is then you got Hitler who's like, short and got black hair and is like...
Oh, you mean in terms of the kind of the Nazis? So it's not necessarily Aryan, it's about breeding a...
But the eugenics is a funny thing because it does creep into the modern world, and it's got all sorts of ethical issues. Like they're saying if you... In the future, a mom and dad might be able to pick what their kid will look like and stuff, and maybe eliminate certain things and have certain things, and it sounds all very amazing and sciencey and modern-y, but it's a form of eugenics perhaps, when you're starting to toy with things and use that, expression playing God, but I think. It's just about applying ethics to your
But I think also, so the science has sort of disproven it. The science says, that there is a chance that if 2 intelligent parents come together and they have a child, that child does stand a greater chance of being intelligent. The science does kind of back it to that level. But it also says that, we quite often get situations where very intelligent children are born to quite average parents, and there's loads of stories about that. And if we go the eugenics route, we kind of remove that
kind of randomness,
that random aspect of DNA coming out generations later, maybe. And inspiring a true genius, like an absolute So eugenics has been largely scientifically disproven. I mean, and I say largely because only because I don't know, and I like to use those journalist weasel words, but like allegedly and largely, and but I mean, it's pretty much been disproven, and so it's interesting to look back in history and kind of say that some of the smartest people in the world believed in it, and that's why this is my fact, because I think it's a bit.
I would say that this fact is true actually, and it's it's unfortunate. It's easy to judge history, and maybe they did have weird views. I mean, look at Gandhi. Wouldn't even talk about the fact that he wasn't particularly nice to African people, although he did fight for the rights of Indian people. So
Gandhi lovers, jump in the comments. Tell us how much you hate us.
So maybe these 3 Nobel Prize winners, they didn't know any better back then or in their context, and they're so eugenics, rock and roll. I say you're right. You're speaking the truth.
I think the interesting thing about what this topic kind of brings up is the fact that quite often you win a Nobel Prize for physics, and then what happens to these guys is they start to believe that they're much smarter or much more brilliant in all departments. So they start talking out of turn about areas and things that they don't necessarily know about, and there's quite a lot of examples. If I went into all of those, I would spend spend all night talking about
like Nobel Prize winners or just academics in the modern era.
Well, academics as well. You get these academics who think because they've achieved some level of degrees or success at some small university that now they know about everything. Jordan Peterson, I'm looking directly at you.
He covers a vast spectrum of things.
A vast spectrum of ignorance. So Jordan Peterson fans. You just leave a comment, click a dislike, whatever. Dislike doesn't matter anymore on YouTube. We don't care. So they were indeed. You're absolutely right. There were at least 3 former science-based Nobel Prize winners who ended up being supporters of eugenics. And I'm going to start with the obvious one, Philip Leonard, who won the 1905 Nobel Prize for Physics with his experiments on cathode rays. So he seems to have won the award in 1905 and then gone kind of steadily insane, because by 1920s he was one of the few major scientists disputing Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, and he wrote 4-volume physics text called the Deutsche Physik, about German physics, which was almost completely ignored, and it was all about like why Einstein was wrong. And he slowly...
he took umbrage.
Yeah, but Einstein obviously, famous Jew. And he so this guy Philip Leonard slowly becomes increasingly Nazi. He joins the Nazi party early on, and he becomes convinced that eugenics and the pure Aryan race is perfect, and that
But what nationality was he?
So he's German. So he even beyond this, he starts to believe that German science is better than Jewish science because Germans have a natural propensity for science. And so he's an obvious one, right? He's just a Nazi, right? Like he's just a dude who won a Nobel Prize and then became a Nazi. Damn. But there's more than that, right? So there's Alexis Carrel, who's a French surgeon. He worked on sewing blood vessels together, which basically made modern surgery. So he won a Nobel Prize for medicine in 1912. In his book Man the Unknown, which sold more than 2 million copies allegedly.
Wow.
This is the beautiful part. He argued passionately in favor of eugenics. He said, he said effectively that people need to be kind of put together. He praised German.
And the era for this dude is.
So he was 1912. He won his award. 1935. He wrote that book. So he spoke. He spoke about how they've got to be careful that you can't propagate the criminal mindset, and he started going heavily. He said there's a key error in the U.S. Constitution where he said that the feeble-minded should not be granted the kind of rights before law that he should be granted. He was like, I should be greater before law and this is So that's Alexis Carrel, delightful human being, and French. So I'm pretty sure that Germany told him exactly how little they cared for his beliefs when they invaded his country a few years later. But the really big one was it was William Shockley, he was part of Bell Labs' team that invented the transistor, and the transistor obviously became very important with the computer, with the creation of the computer, and so it's a big kind of thing. But then he had a wee meltdown shortly thereafter, and he started self-destructing his career. Essentially, he went on this big campaign saying that we need to sterilize people with IQs below 100, and that essentially, yeah, like black people need to be excluded from being allowed to breed.
Good
and
bloody grief.
Yeah, and then he called for a super baby sperm bank at which only the top levels of society would be allowed to donate to. And in fact, there was a guy by I'm just trying to remember his name now, Robert Graham, I think was his name, who founded a sperm bank at the time, and for like a super baby kind of sperm bank at the time, and said that, you know, he'd managed to attract 3 Nobel Prize winners to donate to this particular thing. So that's why I say there's at least 3 who are into eugenics.
Wow.
William Shockley was the only one who was prepared to admit it. But this is 1956, so this is now post-World War II already. And William Shockley, there was this big outcry in America, and he was forced to kind of retract it and back away from the sperm bank. But that sperm bank lasted another 12 years. This
My word.
superior, yeah. So these are 3 people who should have known better, really.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like.
And Shockley also, before 39, hey?
No. So as I say, he won his Nobel Prize for physics in 1956.
Good grief. You know, because that's a big surprise, because I think there was a lot of weird ideas floating about Europe in the mid-30s. And then the horrors of the Second World War showed that actually if you take this stuff to its, nth conclusion, to the nth degree, you could get a horrific situation of what happened in the Second World War. And I think it made a lot of people go, whoa, you know. Yeah.
A lot of people,
Is he
I tell you, bro. You know, the concentration thing made a lot of people go, whoa.
You know, Ricky Gervais does a funny thing about, like, Nietzsche's philosophy. If Nietzsche was alive today, we like your book. We're going to do what it says. Oh, good. Kill the Jews. What? What? I didn't say that. That's what you meant, though. And it's like, yeah, if Nietzsche was alive in the Second World War, surely he would have gone, hey guys, I didn't mean that. But not that it was totally Nietzsche's fault, but that kind of, yeah, the eugenicsy kind of thing. And, you know, it creeps into the modern world. Like, you get unpleasant religious people, and you get pleasant religious people, get pleasant atheists, but you get some.
Oh, thanks, Ryan.
You get those who also ignorant of the science, but they'll just decide that they're like that there isn't any God or meaning or anything, and then they start saying things like, and that's why we've, you know, by letting everyone breed, we're actually weakening the human race. We should only but this was, I had this conversation around a braai in like Randburg in like 2015.
Yeah,
you know?
but I mean, to be fair, that was for your Ku Klux Klan club. Like that was. You were like, I was having this conversation. These people were coming up to me with these horrendous fucking theories, and I thought the Oaks at the Ku Klux Klan Club was just a ghost society.
And I just hope Conrad's idea never catches on. I mean, in 2015, around the Brian Randburg, that only the clever people must breed. Rest of you. But then, because there was even this movie about this post-apocalyptic state where clever people started to have, but it was a comedy. It was a dark comedy, American one. Clever people realized they needed to have less kids, so their conclusion was only dumb people were having lots of kids.
Was this Idiocracy?
I think so.
It's
and then there was a
amazing,
thing called, pardon my expression, folks, but there's a thing called like butt fuck burger. You know, you get your burgers from butt fuck burger.
It's
so everything was like white trash and
and then they can't grow any crops. They can't grow any crops because they're watering everything with Gatorade because they're like, Gatorade is superior to water. Why are these? Why?
So it's like
it's
it's part of the kind of message or fear. But hey, if it's a valid concern and it's a valid philosophy, that's fine. But it's a weird grey ethical
but
area.
as I say, it's a nice thing for people to research for themselves, is to jump into seeing just how many Nobel Prize winners are actually lunatics. Like how many of them went on to become, because it really does send you a very strong signal that just because you are in the elite academic or success fields in the world doesn't necessarily mean you're an intelligent person.
Humans need humans, man. You're good at one thing, someone else is good at something
that
else.
That alone for me is proof that eugenics is a disaster, because these guys would have just bred that kind of level of thinker, whereas they themselves were that level of thinker but defective. You know what I mean? Like there's already that kind of lack of self-awareness. Anyway.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Well, I'm digging the Nobel theme. I've got a few other human achievements coming up which aren't Nobelish, but we'll stick with the Nobelish thing. And once again, me, a proudly South African Nobel thing. And no,
nice.
I'm not talking about Nelson or
Nelly,
Desmond or
Nelly
Effia.
M.
Effia got it. He shared it with Nelson, and then Desmond got it another time. But I'm talking about literature. We have two winners, two winners, and I'm talking about the first winner. Wikipedia still has a picture of the old South African flag, but maybe it's because it was 1991.
It's the person who wrote Trompi, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the Boxombender.
Yeah,
I love that song.
Whoever wrote Trompi in the Boxombender has definitely won a Nobel Prize, I'm sure.
So there's a lady, and I must show my ignorance here that I know very little about her, Nadine Gordimer.
Okay.
She won a Nobel Prize. It doesn't say for what. It's not like winning an Oscar. Well, it's supposed to be the work you've done in the previous year, or could it be over your life? I'm not sure how they adjudicate
No, they
it.
do. Yeah, they do say what you won it for. They generally give it a sentence.
Do they? So
Yeah,
Tom
and
Cruise
I think
for Jerry Maguire.
I'm gonna put you I'm gonna make you very uncomfortable now, because I'm gonna tell you what hers basically said. Like, because hers basically said something like, for contribution to enriching the world, to make the world a better place, or
So it
something
wasn't
like
for
along those lines. Yeah.
a book or two
No,
books.
it was for
Wasn't
all of her books. Yeah, it was for. Yeah, because she had
Burger's Daughter, July's People are two of the big ones.
She had 3 books banned by the apartheid government. She was obviously like her works were quite anti-apartheid and quite like but subtly so. They spoke about life in South Africa, but in a subtle way. She does have the one, and I've forgotten the title of it, where she kind of writes about how white people are being oppressed.
Really?
It's like this kind of like flip system, which in the middle of
You mean
apartheid.
psychologically oppressed?
No. Like so she writes it as a flipped society. She's like, imagine if this was your family that was being oppressed. Yeah, she's got the one, and that one's kind of overtly political, but most of them are quite subtly political. Sort of a Margaret Atwoody sort of vibe.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. My fact about her was a very pleasant fact, because I say she was born in Springs.
Yeah, she was.
I have a Springs
Yeah,
connection.
she was born in Springs, and in fact, shame, Ryan, you've dived yourself right into my area of expertise.
Yes,
Unfortunately,
yes. You're right. Let's just take that little box.
Yeah, no.
She was born in Springs.
So she was, and I think it was about 11, and she was in a store in Springs when she watched
7-Eleven.
No, she was 11 years old. She was 11. Oh, how much of that beer have you finished? No, she was in a store in Springs, and she witnessed a thing where a white store owner wouldn't sell a black guy a pair of pants on lay-by, but insisted that he pay for it up front. And she was she at 11, she was like, no, that's not right. This guy's being treated badly. And then her first book, I think she published it about 15 or 16. She got her first like published work. I don't know if it was a book.
Yes.
At about 15 or 16, and I think she herself said, if I'd been born in some other country, I may not have been political, because it was she said I was just kind of writing stories about the people around me and the things around me. She said, because South Africa was like that, and because I was noticing these things, that's what I happened to write about. And ultimately, got 3 books banned by the government. But I think because she was never like actively calling for the dismantling of the apartheid government openly, everything was quite subtly done. They never arrested her or threw her in prison or did any of that stuff. But she was definitely, and at the end, Nelson Mandela said that he read her unbanned books in prison, and that they'd given him an idea of how white liberals think. And he never said whether it was positive or negative. To his he was a politician. So he never said whether he thought the way that white liberals think is good or bad. He just said, no, reading Nadine Gordimer gave me an insight into that. But they wound up being friends, I think.
Yes, well, do you know that she helped him with his Rivonia trial speech?
I did not know.
Yeah, she did. She edited it for him. And he was one of the first people. She was one of the first people he visited coming out of prison. So they were definitely friends, and yeah, she's a big player, and she got into politics as well. And to me, it's South Africa did funny things to people in the past, like even Gandhi didn't intend going into politics. Nadine Gordimer didn't intend going into politics.
Yeah.
I don't even think Nelson Mandela intended going into politics.
I think Nelson Mandela did, and I think it's good, and I think he was one of the few that was politically astute enough. Like his friendship with Nadine Gordimer is, I think,
yes,
a very
but
clear
when he came
indication
to
of astute
Joburg,
politics.
it was more just to be a lawyer and family.
I mean, he said he came to Joburg because all the ladies were here. That's what he said. I mean, whether that was the reason or not, who knows? But at his, I think it was inauguration speech, he read Eintjie Krog.
Mm-hmm.
That was not a mistake. Like his friendship with Nadine Gordimer was unlikely to have been a mistake. It was clearly an offer of reconciliation. So yeah, but yeah, Nadine Gordimer is, and she brings up a sort of an interesting point for me, because she's the only female winner. South Africa's got 11 Nobel Prize winners, and she's the only woman. And then you think, oh, well, maybe South Africa's like that, but that's not the case at all. Like around the world, almost 1,000 Nobel Prizes have been given, and this is leading directly onto my next fact. But almost 1,000 Nobel Prizes have been given, and of those, only 58 have gone to women.
Good grief!
That's my fact.
Yeah, I mean, I scrolled the list in various categories, and it is something I did notice. Yeah. Jordan Peterson will say it's because of the contraceptive. There wasn't contraceptive back then.
Jordan Peterson can eat my dick.
If
Jordan Peterson fan.
He might, as long as it's got a contraceptive over it.
Honestly, Jordan Peterson will eat my dick because he only eats meat apparently, and then he gets incredibly sick and goes and lives with his daughter. Anyway, I'm not even going to talk about Jordan Peterson. Fuck that guy.
Wow.
Right, we're on much more interesting.
Yeah,
we're on much more interesting people than Jordan fucking Peterson.
58 of the 1,000 and something were women.
No, it's not 1,000 and something. It's almost 1,000.
Is it almost 1,000?
It's almost 1,000.
1901 and 5 categories. So, yeah, that's
almost
what it
1,000 and only 58 of them are women.
Man, it actually sounds low. I was hoping it would be 10%, but no, I think it was traditionally physics, chemistry. Okay, then it became medicine and stuff like that. Literature, I think, was maybe an add-on. There were a couple of add-ons. Economics was an add-on. Maybe literature was always there, medicine always there, physics, chemistry, and physiology for some weird reason, or is that medicine? But because even, in the first half of the last century, it's been a very man's world. So literature has helped things, and all categories have been helped since then in terms of equality for women. But I'll say no, 58's right. I'll say you're telling the truth.
You're horrifyingly I am. You're horrifyingly
Come on, ladies. Come on.
Come on. Put more effort in, chicks.
Get in the labs and stop.
No, man, but that it's actually entirely down to the misogyny of the committee that picks these things. Yeah, it's not even that women know, because there's many examples of women who, like, landed up contributing to big discoveries that were left off the list. It's many women who actually came up with discoveries or that were critical in the advancement of a discovery that then gets left off the list. And I've just got a couple that, like Jocelyn Bell Burnell, she discovered pulsars, which are obviously like collapsed stars which don't have enough gravity to turn into black holes. So then they become these kind of spinning, like, I suppose, light emitting, radio emitting kind of supernovas. And she discovered them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and she discovered them on her supervisor Anthony Hewish's telescope, which she had helped to assemble. And then Hewish went on to win the Nobel Prize for physics for his decisive role in the discovery of pulsars. And then she was not included in that. And I don't think he talked about it because, I think you've got to split the prize money if you split the prize. So
it's like some aspects of the TV industry. You pitch a show to the broadcaster, they own the concept, but it was your idea. And then if they sell it overseas, which doesn't happen much anymore. But then you don't get jack because they own it, because they paid for it. But it was your idea. But that sounds like what happened to Mrs. Spinning Star Lady.
Mrs. Spinning. Jocelyn Bell Burnell.
See now, what a misogynistic thing that was.
There's you can't remember everything. And then there's Esther Lederberg.
Especially not after a 10% of Belgian.
Esther Lederberg was a pioneer in bacterial genetics and immunology who did a lot of kind of studies in antibiotic resistance, and her husband Joshua Lederberg, the molecular biologist, won the Nobel Prize, and her name was excluded off of that. She wasn't even mentioned in the award or in the receiving of it. So there's all these kind of horrifying stories, and I know there's another one that I haven't written down specifically, but there's literally a product where it's named after the two, a molecular product that's named after the two inventors, and the male one got the Nobel Prize and the female one got left off the list. So it's and that's just a couple. Yeah, there's a whole lot of them, but. Hopefully now, the ladies will put more fucking effort in the lab and make sure that they don't share their stuff with any men. Never share your stuff with any man if you're a woman. And at least the thing is, no man got shot next to Malala Yousafzai, or she would be like excluded. Yeah, the bus driver who got shot in the same bus. He's the one that we get the thing. But yeah,
shame. Well, I actually was going to make. This next fact, my fifth fact, but I'm going to squeeze it in as my fourth because women deserving credit. Go Girl Power, August, the month of the Women's Month. One woman who couldn't be ignored because she was so awesome, Marie Curie, Nobel Prize winner twice.
I think you got to say it with a French accent though.
Marie Curie.
Marie Curie.
Wow.
There's too many R's.
There's a little thing. So she discovered a few things. She came up with the word. She coined the phrase radioactive.
Huh.
So that band that's got that song, Radioactive, Dietz will know. What's that band's name? They toured, yeah? They sing that song, Sex is on Fire. Which I don't like.
Kings of Leon.
Is it?
Well, Sex is on Fire is Kings of Leon.
Then Imagine Dragons. Who sings
Imagine Dragons.
Do you know?
These are very different.
Is it Imagine Dragons song?
Oh, Radioactive. Yes.
Yeah. So they have Marie Curie to thank because she.
No. Hang on. Right. I wish to sit back just for a minute.
She coined that.
Just enjoy your diving into the whole Sex on Fire, Kings of Leon versus Imagine Dragons debacle. Let's just enjoy that terrible era and hope that Dietz deducts a point for that because I'm making a deal out of it.
Do you like? Are you precious about that? Do you like Sex is on Fire?
Oh, I'm only precious about facts on this show because they may win me points, and that's all I really care about is the point system.
I've never been a fan of. I like some of Imagine Dragons songs, but I've never been a big fan of Kings of Leon. But they've got massive fans out there.
Yeah.
So
you know what I like about Imagine Dragons?
I'd like to say I think they sound a little similar.
No, don't make me punch you. Do you know what I like about Imagine Dragons? This is a group of teenage boys who, instead of imagining what most boys were imagining at that age, were imagining dragons.
Oh.
Yeah, like otherwise the band would have been called Imagine Large Tits. They'd just been ordinary boys,
I like that song of theirs, Demons. Have you heard it? It's where my demons hide. Not like demons. Mm-hmm. My demons, my inner struggle demons.
Yeah, no, there's nothing quite as angst-ridden as a teenage boy. I can tell you. No one bears the weight of the world quite like a 15-year-old boy. 15-year-old boys jump in the comments. Let me know how much you hate me.
So, Marie Curie, yes, radioactive. And then, of course, she died of a terrible thing. It was called aplastic anemia. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
I think you have, yeah.
And it's because of her exposure to all sorts of shit. But, she had she'd carry things, radioactive things like, I don't know if it was uranium or things like that, but in her pockets and keep them in a top drawer. And she'd show her kids, look, when you switch the lights off, it lets off a little glow. Isn't that cute? And there was no protective clothing or anything like that. And that's very sad. Yeah. Very sad.
Yeah, but so that first Nobel Prize she won alongside her husband,
Pierre.
who clearly was the only man capable of giving credit to a woman in the history of the Nobel Prize. But yeah, he landed up getting hit. I think he got hit by like a tram.
A bloody
He was
accident
he
in
was trying to
Paris.
cross the road, or a wagon, or a road. Yeah, he got hit by something and he got run over. And then she wound up winning a second Nobel Prize. Well, this is what makes her really special. She wound up winning a second Nobel Prize.
Yes,
I think
she did.
without him. Yeah.
Well, what's amazing is, I do like the periodic table of elements. I do like it, and what I like about it...
I tell you, you know what I love a bit of in the morning? I love a bit of periodic table of the elements.
Was it Mendel or Medvedev, the dude who put things in order based on their atomic number? But he predicted that there'd be like 144 of these things, which is it's a very like dimensions of heaven in the book of Revelations. Anyway, no, don't go there.
Well, it's 12 times 12, which is what we study in grade 1. Oh my God, mind blown.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you go all the way up to the 12 table. Why? So you can reach the
amazing.
squad number.
Yeah, and so, but of course they hadn't discovered all of them. But the prediction was that there'd be 144, which is pretty cool. So that's what I like about the periodic table.
But they found a lot more than.
They have
40.
found
Many
all
more,
of them now. Yeah, but I mean, when he had the table, he predicted there'd be so many. So that only had like half the table when he was
and
around.
then she's got the separate section that she came along and created. Yeah.
Yes, and so that's pretty cool. So she discovered two, and they were radioactive, and she isolated them very cleverly with her husband. And so the one was called radium, which just came from the radioactive part. But because these things emit different sort of lights, the other one she discovered was called polonium, and it was named after
obviously like pink polony.
Yeah,
Like
it was a pink.
it
It was a pink hue, and it looked like polony, and so she named it after.
That's
polonium.
not why it was called polonium, but
That's my fact.
It is called polonium,
Yeah, it is
but
called
that's
polonium.
not why it's called polonium.
Polony.
It's not
It's a
named-
pinkish radioactive hue. It is. Have more. I don't know.
Sometimes
you're
doing this
laughing at
podcast-
my facts. They're very.
Ryan, sometimes doing the podcast with you can sometimes make me angry, and I've realized that anger is so much nicer than exasperation. Like what I'm experiencing right now, like polonium was named after Polony. Like if you go to Gatsby, like store in Cape Town, and you order
Polony, yeah. So no, polonium was named after Polony, yeah. Polony's been around a long time.
I have a lot of rage inside of me, Ryan, like a lot of rage, and it's close to coming out. It's not named because it's a pink hue and after polonium. That's not true.
You're saying my fact's not
true.
true.
I'm saying it is called polonium. I'm
Yeah,
saying it's not
but it's
named
named
after
after-
fucking polony. It's like, you fucking lunatic. The fact that you come here and be like, you know what he's gonna fall for? You know what he's gonna fall for? Warren's a moron.
Have more of that.
Yeah.
Have another one.
Maybe by this stage of the podcast, Warren will have 8 beers and he'll and somebody will have given him a frontal lobotomy, and also like a part of the roof will have fallen and caved in his skull, and he'll be a twitching corpse, incapable of functional thought, and he'll believe that polonium was named after Polony. Fuck you, Ryan.
And so your final answer is?
It's not named after fucking Polony.
So then what else could it possibly be named after?
Well, yeah, what else? Like literally anything else. I don't know what Polony breaks down. I don't know what the Latin phrase breaks down to, but
Well, you won't believe it.
I swear if you tell me it's named after Polony, I'm going to go kill myself.
So you said say her name in a French accent, and I could have, but she was not French. Did you know? She was Polish. Polish.
So it's named after Poland.
Poland, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
See, that turned out to be a good fact after all, Ryan.
Yes,
You see,
yes.
even though you exasperate me, that's genius. I've
And-
learned something.
But I do want to say French because we had a sex episode the other day, and I think a fetish of probably a lot of women is to say things in a French accent, or no, French words, because French government ministries have got long ass French names. So her body was exhumed and they determined that it wasn't exposed to that much radiation. It was maybe when she was doing X-rays in World War One, and so they didn't think she died from the exposure to the stuff that was in her pocket and in her top drawer that was glowing, when you switch the lights off. But they said the X-ray thing in World War One. But she was exhumed by the I'll tell you now, Office de Protection contre les rayonnements ionizants.
I think you were doing really well until Inizwane, which sounded like
Zulu.
somebody, someone from KwaZulu Natal. Yeah.
Office de Protection contre les rayonnements ionizants. Yeah. So that is the Office for Protection Against Ionizing Radiation. So if you have a girl who's got a fetish for, say, French things,
You just got to learn all the names of all their organizations.
My darling, Office de Protection contre les rayonnements ionizants. That's not Swahili, darling. French. Sorry, ionizant. And then there's the you can even throw in Institut National de Statistique et d'Études Économiques. That's the National Institute of Statistics and Economic Studies.
I love that you probably spent 30 minutes looking for the longest French. And then look, so I can tell you that the typing the phrase "longest French anything" into the internet is a very dangerous proposition. So I admire what you did there, Ryan. I admire what you did.
So that was Marie Curie, a Polish.
My fifth fact wasn't going to be this, but it's going to be this now. That Marie Curie's family, in fact, won 5 Nobel Prizes.
Holy shit balls! Okay, well, that's her 2 plus her husband's 1. So you're saying
there's
family.
Another 2 in her immediate. No. Her immediate family. Yeah.
Kids? No. Did they have kids? Yes, that's photos.
Maybe her parents,
There's
or
photos.
maybe her brothers or sisters. But I'm saying her immediate family.
No, I think you're lying. It's a sneaky lie. And while I think about your lie, I'm going to choose my next beer. I'm going for the Amber Ale. Amber.
Nice.
It was one
Are
of.
you actually calling it a lie though?
Yeah. 5. So you're saying another 2 probably, because obviously her and Pierre.
In her immediate family, yeah.
No, it's a lie. Another Nobel Prize. No. How much gold is that? No.
It's a lot of gold. Many medals. Yeah, many. Like
dirhams?
hundreds of millions of dollars worth of medals.
Kronas. Hey, kronas.
I reckon her medals must be worth a fortune, right? Marie Curie's. Like, that would be the one that people would want to own, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that there, over there, above the TV, next to Joost van der Westhuizen's Springbok rugby jersey.
Oh, next to Stransky's drop goal in 1995. That's Marie Curie's.
Yeah, but actually it's true.
No.
True, yeah.
Who are they?
Her daughter, Irene Joliette Curie, won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1935 for the discovery of artificial radioactivity with her husband, Frederick Joliette Curie,
nice?
and her husband, so her son-in-law is the other one. So the two of them, yeah.
So who discovered it with her husband? The daughter.
Yeah, so her daughter, Irene.
Isn't that sweet? So they carried on the tradition.
So the nicest thing about
of
this,
doing chemical things together and both getting.
Yeah. And you'll notice that the surname is Joliette Curie, right? And that's because his name was Frederick Joliette, and then he married Irene Curie, and they decided to double barrel their surname all the way back then. Yeah, like all the way back then. And they were atheists. Sorry, Ryan. Yeah, it's not
Mary and Pierre.
All of them. Yeah, Marie. And
but
Pierre,
you know whose fault that was? Sartre. Sartre was writing his plays in France.
No, Ryan. It's the devil. It's ultimately always the devil's fault.
Sartre is the devil. I'm joking.
Anyway, I found it interesting that you said she also died of cancer, because she did. She died in 1956 of acute leukemia linked to her exposure to polonium and X-rays.
Shame. I take my glee back. That's not nice. But it is very, very tragic when you think that they did all that stuff without protective gear, and now we know what we know today about radiation.
Because of them. It's that
heroes.
It's that old joke, where they like, how do we know which mushrooms we can eat? It's because some fucking guy back in the day ate all the mushrooms, told us what happened. Sometimes he died, that's the thing. Anyway.
Well, You spoke.
I think, you know what the tragic thing about the Nobel Prize is that we know about these people because of their Nobel Prizes, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they had great cleavage, that would have also been a way for us to know about them in the modern era. You know, that's the only thing the media cares about, is that these people they've got great cleavage, so-and-so is dating so-and-so, they're in this movie, they've got this Instagram account with 18 million followers. These guys actually had to work for their fame. They had to do this like...
But Marie was
terrible job.
a bit of a looker, Marie.
I saw a picture of her daughter and I was like, oh, it's not bad for a dead person. Bringing us right back to my original point about funeral homes.
Marie, okay, well, Dietz has got...
Yeah. Look, hey, that's Marie when she's old, Dietz. That's unkind. That's unkind.
Yeah, she looks a bit like, who was that serial killer, Daisy DeMalca there? Yeah. Get us
no,
there you go. Hello,
all right.
Marie.
She's all right.
Hello,
Yeah.
Marie. Look at us looking at... oh, yeah, polonium, yeah. I mean...
Dietz, they didn't have the makeup they have these days.
Yeah.
He said it looks like Ryan on the first episode.
Marie, hey? All
Yeah.
right.
So there you go. That was my fifth fact. You got it wrong as it happened. I'm glad I'll save the other one for another later episode.
Well, this episode of Human Achievement is about to take a very weird turn. Very weird turn indeed. We're talking about wonderful Nobel Prize-y things, but
Yeah.
I want to tell you about a human achievement here on my cell
This
phone.
is going to go weird. I thought the last one was weird, right? And this is going even worse, isn't it?
This is going to go super weird.
This is-
All right, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm always ready.
In an achievement unlikely to ever be equaled,
Nadia Comaneci got a 10.
for the week of the 4th of April, 1964,
Okay.
on the Billboard Hot 100, the Beatles
So it's not a Nobel Prize.
occupied the
achievement,
top 5 positions on the chart.
okay. What year?
1964, all 5. In other words, number 5 was a Beatles song. This is the American Billboard Top 100. It's the American chart, really, of pop music. So number 5 was a Beatles song. Number 4 was a Beatles song. Number 3 was a Beatles song. Number 2 was a Beatles song. And number 1 was a Beatles song.
My word. All right. So now I have to do some thinking.
In the
'cause-
top 100, they actually, in that week, they had a total of 12 songs.
So the only thing I can think is that if that was ever true at any stage in the Beatles' history, it would be because of their final album and the performance on the roof of the studio and
Abbey, is Abbey
and
right,
then
eh?
because they hadn't performed live for years before that actual final performance. But I think 1964 might be too early for that. I mean,
Is that
I'm
where
literally-
you two got the idea from when they sang "Where the Streets Have No Name" and they sang their music videos on top of a recording studio? I think in LA.
So effectively, the Beatles went out in style, right? What they did was they had a last album where they wrote the music and then did a live show, all in kind of a few months. Like it was a 2-month period, and I think it was around about 1964. And there's a part of me that feels 1964 might be a year or two early, but it was around about that period. And then what they did was the classics that came out of that period, because they basically got stuck in a studio where they sat together and they wrote music, and they were told by their guy, listen, we're going live in front of a crowd. There's going to be a crowd there. You're going to be on top of this building, whatever. And you have to write 14 new songs to fill the time that we've got on the BBC. And they sat and they did it. They wrote all these songs. And the songs that came out of that were like The Long and Winding Road.
Wow.
Obla Di, Obla Da.
Goodness me.
Like there was a lot of like big Beatles. What's the Magic Hammer one about murder that was in amongst there?
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of very big kind of classic Beatles songs that came out of that writing session. And if that is the date of that writing session, I'm prepared to believe that for 1 week that thing smashed all the records and they got themselves to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm prepared to believe that. If I'm early, though, if it says the era of Sgt. Pepper's, then I don't believe it. So I have to just go, I have to go like, when did the Beatles break up? It's effectively the thing I have to ask my brain. I have to ask my brain to go and fetch the fact. When did the Beatles break up?
Right.
When did it all end? I'm prepared to say 1964. I'm prepared to say it. I'm prepared to. Yeah. All right. It's true.
Oh my goodness me. Well, I'm a massive fan. I've got an episode of a podcast coming out soonish, which I did with my daughter because I educated her on Beatles, and we shot it a while ago.
And then does she have to put up with all the crazy shit I have to put up with? Okay, all right.
Yeah, and she had to. Yeah, during lockdown, I had to send. I sent
Zia,
her one. Yeah, I sent her one.
Zia, call me. We'll start a support group.
Poor thing. I sent her a Beatles song every day, 50 for 5 weeks, 10 weeks, because it was every weekday.
Okay.
So she got the Beatles. So your chronology is they broke up in the 70s. So
I did that. Okay.
Yeah, so it would have been maybe 71 or 72.
So I'm
what
very
you're talking
early.
about. So let me first tell you, you said it's true, and it is true. The fact is true.
I mean, I was true for entirely the wrong reason, but we've had that happen before.
Yeah, April 1964, they occupied the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was in the British invasion. They called it the British invasion. They'd gone to the Ed Sullivan show, and they'd done their performance on the Ed Sullivan show, and it was all their beautiful early teeny bopper stuff that hit top 5. Number 5 was...
I mean, now that I think about it, 1950s. Insanity that I even believed. Yeah, no, I'm deeply ashamed. Anyway.
Yeah, so number 5 was Please Please Me. Number 4, I Wanna Hold Your Hand. I wanna hold your hand.
Early Beatles. Yeah.
She Loves You was number 3. She Loves You, yeah. Number 2 was well, shake it up, baby. Now shake it up, baby. Twist it. That was number 2. Twist and Shout. And number 1, Can't Buy Me Love. Love can't buy me.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was I agree.
Yeah, I
Unlikely to ever be equaled. All 5 positions. Plus another 7 Beatles songs on the top 100.
I knew that they were huge after the Ed Sullivan show. I never realized, that never dawned on
Very big.
Yeah, as I said, literally when you said that.
Human achievement, big.
Yeah, when you said that, and I'm entirely messed up their timeline, I literally could only think of that closing moment. That sort of, because they released 14 songs, of which I think 7 of them are like absolute classic Beatles.
Yeah. No,
kind of number
definitely.
1. And I was like, well, maybe at that point, going out the way they did. Yeah, it never occurred to me that they could have had all 5 top songs. Yeah, at the beginning of their career.
Yeah, and I talk about it in my ep with Zizi when I did the Beatles ep with Zizi, but she was like, I was like, there's not many bands I can, off the top of my head, name 50 songs from. There's not many artists, musical pop songs.
To be fair,
Beatles, I can just nail it.
To be
Boom,
fair,
Beatles.
There were about 12 bands that were around at the time. Like compared to now. Yeah. These guys are fighting for airtime with 10 million bands. Like back then there were 12 bands and they all knew each other and they were mates and they were releasing all of the music around the world. So I suppose it was a different era in many ways.
In fact, I don't want to go down a little rabbit hole here of pop music, but hey, this beer's great. So, but I think their second hit was Love Me Do was their first hit. They were talking about what to release as their second hit. And they eventually went with Please Please Me, which is great. But one of the options was How Do You Do What You Do To Me, which is from the other Liverpool band who sing the Liverpool song, You'll Never Walk Alone. Jerry and the Pacemakers.
Right.
So Jerry and the Pacemakers released How Do You Do What You Do To Me? And one of the options was let the Beatles do a version of that now. And Paul and John said, no, well, they'll never let us back in Liverpool if we do that. So we're not going to do that. So that was a good decision. So they went and released Please Please Me, or wrote Please Please Me as their second follow-up, because that was a big challenge back in those days. You land a hit because you release it.
And
what's your second one?
And
Please Please Me was cool. And they didn't go with How Do You Do What You Do To Me? Who were Jerry from Liverpool, Jerry and the Pacemakers.
Right, well, there you go. No, wonderful. And an entirely not Nobel Prize winning achievement. But As you say, again, one of those achievements that'll never be repeated, right?
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No, there's now 10 million bands that are all vying for those spots. You know, I think if you,
all 5
you know, when
songs.
you talk about like a band like Pink Floyd that were on the charts for 20 years
Yeah.
with Dark Side of the Moon. For 20 years, they were legitimately uninterrupted on the charts. Yeah, that's never going to happen again. It's just
No.
impossible to happen. Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
Anyway, but. Yeah, I did not know they were that huge early on. I did know that the Ed Sullivan Show had made them massive. I didn't realize it was that big. And well, there you go. You see, you say stupid thing, and then
We talk
something
Beatles.
amazing. Yeah, and then something amazing, right? Like I'm very very
Polonium?
impressed.
No? Polonium?
All right, we're going with a multiple choice now. All right, so I'm going to talk about who here never won
Oh, shame.
a Nobel Peace Prize.
A Peace Prize.
A Peace Prize,
Right.
yeah. South African apartheid president F.W. de Klerk.
Okay.
Yeah. Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
I was gonna say, but given that you
answered it
threw
in the
him
podcast.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin,
Okay.
the United Nations and Kofi Annan together,
Okay.
Joseph Stalin,
Okay.
Mikhail Gorbachev.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. No, definitely. Oh, come on. No, definitely. I think Stalin, get the fuck out of here, Joseph Stalin. I would say Yitzhak Rabin, because when they were doing the double giveaways, I sound like
The double giveaways.
I sound
Yeah,
like
the
a
Nelson
shop-
Mandela F.W. de
like-
Klerk, like buy one get one free.
ShopRite Checkers special. Yeah, double giveaways this weekend at ShopRite Checkers. Buy the oil. Yeah, so they gave the. Then I think that's when they gave the Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat even as a
That's
double.
absolutely correct.
double
yeah,
whammy.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Gorbachev, because he negotiated the end of the Soviet Union so nicely, I can see him as also being.
Are you certain you've got the date correct on that?
Yeah, Gorbachev was the last leader of the Soviet Union before it became a democratic Russia under Boris Yeltsin. So was Mikhail Gorbachev seen as a peacemaker? I wonder. Kofi Annan, I might have even remembered him and the UN playing a hell of a job in keeping
Look,
peace.
Kofi Annan, there's no doubt that what he did at the UN was next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even
Whether
know
they
who
gave
the
a peace
head of the
prize to the
UN
UN.
is these days, but
Exactly,
Kofi Annan
yeah.
was obviously a
He-
prominent figure who
Dominated the news cycle is what he did. Yeah.
PR man.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. Yeah. As I say,
So I got to tell you, I
this
think
fact
I think
initially
Stalin,
started as-
let's get the fuck out of here.
As I
Stalin
said, this
can't
fact
possibly
initially
be-
started as a Mahatma Gandhi thing, but you flummoxed me by doing it as your fact early on.
Yes.
And like in case people think we cheat this thing, you know what I mean? Like I got dicked in
We
here.
don't.
Yeah,
We
no, we
don't.
really don't.
He really
Like, we
does.
really
I did really make him angry. He really was going to mur me. If
I'm still gonna mur him.
with a thing of polony, he's going to beat me 1,000 times on the head with a
Oh,
big.
it's definitely going to happen. But yeah, I mean, so you're saying Joseph Stalin. And why Joseph Stalin? Why would you say that he's not? Because obviously he ended World War
I
II,
know,
right? He's
I
the official
remember
peacemaker
that.
of World War II.
Yeah, and there was those. Where did those three meet? The famous meeting.
The Transatlantic Treaty, yeah.
Yeah. You know, FDR
Versailles. Yeah,
and
at Versailles.
was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I got the impression it was sort of almost
I think,
Israel.
I think it was Versailles.
Might have been
Oh no,
kind of
you see, you
Israel.
have this talent. I might be
Was
wrong.
it Israel?
No, I might be wrong. I
Turkey
might be
or
wrong.
something.
I know.
No. Oh my goodness! I've read something recently. I
may
think
have
it
signed-
was
no, I think
even
they signed
around
the-
the Ukraine or
I
Crimea.
think they signed the World War II end of World War II treaty at Versailles. That's why I
Weren't they?
think I put that, yeah.
Wasn't there was a meeting at even like Crimea, which is very very controversial for the modern world what we're going through. But yeah, so
What's the biggest body of water? I'm literally making this up on the spot. What's the biggest body of water in the Ukraine?
Salt water or fresh water?
No, the biggest body of water.
Oh, it's
What's
that
it called?
sea.
What's it called? Yeah, what's
that
it called?
sea.
No, but what's it called?
Is it the Black Sea?
No, it's called the Justin Timberlake because it's a Crimea River. I'm literally here all week. Like I'm not going anywhere.
We've been laughing at teachers going, oh my God. Okay, so it's Justin Timberlake because of a crime here. Shame. Okay.
Shame, yes. No, indeed.
Yeah,
no, that's, you see, now is your opportunity to get angry with me. That's how this works.
Yes. Yeah, but it was funny. It was funny. So I actually recall reading that the place where they met for some reason, or a photo shoot or something like that, was Crimea. But yeah, Versailles was definitely part of that end of the Second World War. Would they have given him a Nobel Prize? I think they would have rather given it to Gorbachev, because that euphoria in that era when Madiba came out of jail,
right,
and the wall fell, people were saying it's like the world is a cool place again, because the end of the Cold War, end of apartheid, there's just this big time epic
where maybe the world's going to work out.
Yeah. They might have said, Gorbachev, pull in.
Pull in.
Here's a prize, China. So that's what I'm saying. It was not Gorbachev who it was not Stalin who won the Nobel Peace Prize, but Gorbachev.
Okay. Well, I'm delighted that it became even a debate in your head, because, as I say, like initially for me that was a Mahatma Gandhi fact that I messed up. But you're right. It was Joseph Stalin who didn't win it. He was nominated in 1945 and 1948.
Okay.
Yeah. So
45.
Because he was considered one of the big peacemakers of the end of the World War. Even though he was a mass murdering fucktard. Joseph Stalin fans.
Yeah. When did his real bullshit start of really being a dick? Of killing his own people and also, but they kept it under wraps and stuff.
Yeah, they did for a long time. Yeah.
But was it known? Was it before the mid 40s, or was it only maybe after?
No, I think in general he was definitely murdering a lot of people, and he was doing it from early on in his reign. He was, I mean, even when you think about the pre-World War II invasion of Finland, he's basically he's killed so many generals. He's done the putsch before that, which is one of the reasons why the invasion of Finland is such a disaster, is because he's already killed off a lot of the senior members of his military. So like he's problematic right from the get-go. He doesn't. Yeah, but he was nominated in 1945 and 1948 for Peace Prize. In fact, Adolf Hitler was nominated for a Peace Prize in 1939.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, I mean, we think so because a Swedish legislator had nominated him as a joke, and everyone thought it was a horrific joke, and they condemned this guy, and there was this outcry, and there was all this thing, and he had to retract it, and the whole nomination got retracted. But yeah, like right now, it's pretty funny that 1939 you nominate Adolf Hitler. I mean, you're subverting the entire thing, right? Good job. Anyway, you're right.
Well,
Joseph Stalin is...
The Führer gets a little mention in my final multiple choice fact. Human achievement. I've gone back to the Olympic Games. And
you talk Jesse Owens here, aren't you?
Yeah. My fact is more about the world record for the 4x100 meters.
Oh, yes.
It's a beautiful thing, and I just love Jamaica because of their music and
because of the movie
cricket
Cool Runnings.
And the movie Cool Runnings and the cricket, man. They play good cricket in Kingston.
I don't think you're allowed to do a Jamaican accent.
Oh, bugger. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You spent all those years with dreadlocks and an Irie.
And so the...
Irie beanie.
I'll give you the fact, and I'll talk a bit about time and stuff. But the world record for the 4x100 meters men was set at the London Olympics 2012. And it was Jamaica. They won that one. And they broke...
that's Usain Bolt. And
they broke the 37-second mark. So under 40 seconds. It's just like...
That's three of your runners are running sub 10 100 meters.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
If you think about it,
and some of them are doing it on corners.
Yes, but I think when you have to take your marks, get set, you're on your knees, and then it's a slow start to your
Yeah. Okay. Fair
place
enough.
of
Yeah.
maximum speed. So, but when you can have a bit of a run, pass me the baton, fucking go.
Yeah.
Then you might be in a better momentum.
Yeah, three of you are cracking under 10 seconds for 100
big
meters.
time. No, big
and,
time.
And that's on a curve.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
at the 2012 race, which of these names was not part of that awesome foursome? Nestor Carter, Michael Frater, Asafa Powell, Johan Blake, Usain Bolt. I'll repeat those 5. Nestor Carter, Michael Frater, Asafa Powell, Johan Blake, Usain Bolt.
Sure. I mean, the last 3 are all very big names, right?
They're all big names.
Yeah, they're all very big names. So, I mean, I feel like the reason you've made this you see, now I'm getting my own head. But the reason you made this your thing is because one of
This is
the...
like Warren psychology now.
No,
Yeah,
no, you're getting my head. Because, so the 3 of them, you just want to go, yeah, the next 3, they're absolutely, like, they were part of it. Asafa Powell,
Johan Blake,
yeah,
Usain Bolt,
and Usain Bolt, and then
Nestor Carter, Michael Frater.
So Michael Frater is a name I know. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say Asafa Powell. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it because Nestor Carter is the only name I don't know, which means it can't be him, right? So I'm going to say Asafa Powell. Go for it. Let's be done with this. Let's stop this farce of me pretending that I know anything about athletics.
This is the first episode, ladies and gentlemen, where I'm fucking walking off. I've had enough of this guy bullshit. That's not fair. That's not fucking fair. I thought I had him. I thought I fucking had him. Everyone knows Asafa Powell. You were supposed to agonize over Nestor Carter or Michael Frater because Asafa Powell's so popular. But Asafa wasn't there at 2012.
There we go.
You fucker.
We did it. We got each other's multiple choice.
Fucker.
It's a tight
Yes.
episode.
So indeed, well done, Warren. I don't know how you did that. But Nestor started. He handed it to Michael. He handed it to Johan, who handed it to Usain Bolt. And they broke 37-second barrier. It's never been done since.
Yeah.
36.85. And yes, they blitzed it and they won comfortably. But actually, in a close-ish second in the United States. Not bad at all.
36.85 implies that all 4 of them were fractionally under 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
So if you look at the why I say the Führer, of course they gave him the Olympic Games to try and appease the madman. They thought, let's throw him the Olympics, a bit like they did with Russia, giving them the Soccer World Cup and the Winter Olympics.
What about Qatar?
Yeah, but they're not going to invade
No,
anybody
we
else
don't know.
anytime
We
soon.
don't know.
Oh, fuck.
These guys might lose their minds when we take away oil. We start going with the sun or energy instead.
But what's significant about Berlin 36 is the United States 4x100 meter team broke the 40-second barrier.
Okay.
And they had in their team Jesse Owens,
Yeah.
cool black dude, and then another significant barrier.
That was the last time that
broken.
white people ever won anything to do with running. Is that right?
In the 50s, Germany had some pretty good record-breaking goes at the 4x100s.
And that's only because Germany just, like, black people just refused to travel to Germany. Is that what it is?
I don't know what happened
Yeah.
there.
Like, there's always who is it that does that stand-up bit about like all 100-meter finals, the 7 black guys, and then a dude from Sweden in the 8th low.
Yeah, that's hysterical.
Oh, it's Martin Jonas.
Yeah,
This little guy.
it is hysterical. And then he runs 10.86. Best time this year. It's going, oh, fuck's sakes,
Yeah.
please. You're embarrassing us. And then another sort of significant barrier which is broken was the 38-second mark. And that was broken in 1984. And can you guess? It was actually 83,
Was
but
it
can you guess who
LA?
was 84? Yes, LA. Can you guess who was in USA's team? 84?
I'm trying to remember. Carl Lewis.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he was in that team. So that was quite a significant little barrier that was broken. And now they're down to 36.85. What the fuck are the
Yeah,
humans
36.85 is
do
insane,
next?
right? It's quick as
Human
I say.
achievement.
Well,
very
it's
big.
it's about finding 4 people who could run under 10
From
rather
a
than
little island in the
Yeah, but
Caribbean.
rather than finding one guy who can do it. You know, it's about finding 4. So, it's insane. It's amazing. It's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, this was a good podcast. Whatever we land up calling
We've
it.
achieved very well as humans in this podcast.
Oh, Ryan, thank you for being the first person to ever say that to me. This was great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't know what we're going to
you.
call it yet, this podcast. So whatever you see on the title, you know. Also, if you hate all the same things as us, please jump in the comments and tell the people who love the same things we hate to fuck off.
I
Like, that'd
love
be
bologna.
nice.
I love bologna. Bit of mayonnaise, tomato sauce,
No,
white bread.
Toasted cheese and bologna is one of the most delicious things in the entire world. Like it's not,
The pre-cut slices.
yeah, but not toasted cheese and polonium. cheese and,
Not
toasted
delicious.
cheese and polonium is horrible. Anyway, this was
Hey,
great.
yes, thanks for listening and
Yeah.
watching.
We'll see you next week.
Cheerio.